At the time, Don't Ask, Don't Tell got repealed, so I was thinking about maybe becoming a soldier because that's something I want to do. Couldn't do it, so I was looking at law enforcement instead. So I have about a semester left, and I would have a second bachelor's degree in law enforcement. I would, if I do the what's called the post certification in the state of Minnesota, I would have the credentials to become a police officer. I also volunteered for about 18 months at a sexual assault helpline. It's called the Aurora Center at the University of Minnesota. So while this was going on, this was maybe about 2013 or so, and what happened was I received a message from a friend of mine who said, there's some very nasty things that came out recently about a specific producer, and I'm crisis counselor certified, which means I have I'm not sure if the credentials are still active, but I'd be able to work on a sexual assault line or a rape line or a suicide line. So I had this credential, and people who knew me knew that I was doing this. And so they said, well, this person doesn't know what to do. Well, I spoke with this individual, and I can't really go into too many details, obviously, for their privacy and what have you. But I did know them. They were somebody that was an acquaintance of mine through the website. And I knew the abuser pretty well, actually. And I would even count that person as being my friend. So when the revelations came out with this, and I don't know how much more we can certainly get into it further, but like I said, it can take a while. But my motivation, number one, was I have to keep my mouth shut because I'm concerned about the person who had this done to them. They came to me in confidence, and if the abuser is revealed, then, the kind of cagey response, I guess, from the internet is to try to figure out, well, who lodged this concern.
Yeah.
So the issue that I'm concerned with is I wanted to share, or not share, but to protect the identity of this individual as best as I could. So that involved me keeping my mouth shut. Now, what happened last night with Channel Awesome is they basically revealed who the person is.
Yeah.
I can confirm that with my experience on dealing with this person, as well as the my time as a production assistant on Suburban Nights. So for me, this is sort of the burden of proof. I don't have to drag this around anymore. As well as there's two kind of main concerns that I'm focused on right now. The first one is, number one, when this individual died, and we both know who we're talking about, he essentially became martyred in a way. And suicide is absolutely terrible. I've lost three people, three friends to it. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's noble. I think it's terrible. And I lost a friend as well. But regardless of the good things that I had with Justin, essentially, he did these things. And like I said, when he passed away, any sort of criticism or bringing this to light would be shot down because in a way he was martyred. And so if you're if there was a survivor out there, I think it would be very difficult before now to come out and say this happened to me, et cetera, et cetera. The second one is that Channel Awesome, for some insane reason, posted the details of this. And if they knew about it, my concern is, well, did they tell the police? Did they know somebody on their platform was potentially grooming children for sexual purposes? If you don't, I know when it comes to, being semi-famous, even on the internet, you attract people who will say anything to get attention. But in this case, having spoken with this particular individual, that I'm 98% certain that what they're telling me was the truth. And that this, from basic conversations from other individuals, there's rumors now that there's certainly others that happen too. So my question is, did Channel Awesome tell this to the police if they had sufficient evidence to fire this person? As well as, well, what responsibility did they have to say, well, did this happen on their website? Did they alert anybody to say, okay, number one, yes, we want to cover our rears and make sure that this doesn't happen on our site, but don't you also maybe have some concern that it was still continuing? And if so, were there steps taken towards it? So those are the 2 points that I'm kind of concerned with. I mean, this isn't about my ego. I mean, I only stand to lose by speaking to openly about this. I mean, I'm
Mm,
sure I'm going to get people coming after me saying, "Why are you trying to sully his memory?"
sure.
And that's not the point at all. The point at all is to support. I cared about very deeply. He was my friend, um, but he also did these horrific things. And certainly, the people that he affected should have the right to air those. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at.
So there's actually something that you've been mentioning that I wanted to address. There's the implication that so you were using the word grooming in the document. The person stated that they were over 18. So while unethical, there's like it's not necessarily illegal? Question mark.
Sure.
But what you're my leaving my opinions aside.
Hmm.
Um, but you're suggesting that there was more than one person to whom this happened.
Now, these are based on conversations I've had with other individuals.
Okay.
I think the anonymous person is not the same person that I spoke with, because I believe the person that I spoke with indicated that they had been raped. Um,
Okay.
so this grooming individual, here's the thing: he had a cat girl army thing that he was doing for a while, and
Okay.
these were patches that you would pay and get a patch for this thing. But there was a thing on called the Secret Treehouse, with that guy with the glasses, which was kind of a place where fangirls could get together and write fiction and do stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I know he knew about it and was at least somewhat kind of tapped into that. So again, I can't make accusations on things I don't know.
Sure.
I just know what happened with this particular individual, and what they told me was that if I believe, and again, this was about 5 years ago or so, but for what they told me, they were raped.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for
And there's,
sharing
like I
this.
said, there's even more that I can go into with the shooting on the. Picked up his cell phone actually and saw some things when I was trying to figure out um, who the phone belonged to.
Okay.
So,
Um,
um,
would you be willing to share those now?
yeah. So basically, I was a production assistant for this shoot, and I was working tons and tons. And so part of it was running back and forth when they would go outside, and people would leave their cell phones. So I left a cell phone on the table and was like trying to figure out whose it was. So I picked it up, and in the context it said my wife, and there was a second one underneath that said my slave. So number one, I don't stick my nose in other people's business, but that
Hmm.
kind of made me go, whoa. If this individual is having an affair or something like that, I'm not. I just, is this your cell phone? Yep. Oh, thank you. Didn't bring it up because it's not something I want to peek into, but based upon that sort of thing, there is something going on. I don't know
Hmm.
the full details of it, but I'm willing to stake my credibility and integrity that what the person who spoke to me was telling the truth, that this was something I saw as well, and based upon some of the other behaviors that were going on, I don't think I'm certain that this took place.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I know that this is really scary to talk about, probably, and so thank you for being so candid.
Well, the reality is I've moved on from this site. I've
Yeah.
like I'm literally a nobody. Okay, I'm relocating to the Caribbean, by the way. So
Hmm.
this is like the last thing I need. But at the same time, I think that so there's an expression amongst the Jews. It's called tikkun olam, which means like kind of fix the world a little bit.
Hmm.
And if Justin was still alive, number one, I would say to him, I'd give him peace in my mind. But the second one is okay, we got to fix this, dude. And I don't know if that involves jail time or if that involves making amends with something. And I would be there to help that process along as best as I possibly could. But I can't. If you knew that, would you not feel some sort of moral urgency to make it known so that other victims might be able to finally air their situation?
Hmm.
I mean, that's where my process is from, is that I have compassion for the people who had this happen to them. I have no stake in this for my own ego. And in fact, it's probably going to bite me in the ass,
Hmm.
but it's the right thing to do.
All right.
So,
All right. Thank you very much.
yeah.
I know that that recording was not super well structured, but I did want to include as much of it as I could. I chopped out only a tiny bit. So, the issue at play here, and the reason that this ties into Channel Awesome, I know that it veers a little bit away, seems to veer a little bit away, but the reason that this is an issue is because um, at least the people who had come forward and had talked to the content creators at Channel Awesome did not want to be shared. This is not the only account. There is another account um, on Reddit by someone under the name Throwaway I'm Scared. Um, it's a throwaway account, obviously. But this is another account. It's a second account. They're not the Jane Doe from the logs, and this person has been vetted by the other people from Channel Awesome. But all of these people didn't want this to come to light because they didn't want people coming after them because people might think that they're making it up or trying to smear someone because people like that does happen quite a bit. And Channel Awesome either again inadvertently or intentionally to try to cover themselves um, revealed the identity of the person against the will of the victims. And now at this point, since it's already out, like it's the cat's out of the bag at this point.